Some of the best-known landmarks in Hollywood are its classic movie palaces. The Chinese, along with the Egyptian and El Capitan theaters, are at the historic center of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. 100 years after the movies came to Hollywood, these lavish theaters continue to thrive. They are landmarks synonymous with Hollywood and continue to draw large crowds, host movie premieres, and special events. These ornate and classic movie palaces impart an aura of Hollywood glamour. They combine Golden Age ambience with state-of-the-art projection and sound systems, making them superior places to enjoy a movie. You might catch a stage show, enjoy exhibits of movie props and costumes, all making it well worth the ticket price. No expense was spared in building these lavish golden temples of cinema. In the golden age of cinema, massive movie palaces accommodated crowds of thousands of people for each screening. After decades of being the center of the entertainment industry, the glory faded for much of Hollywood. After many years of decline, too many of these Hollywood landmarks were threatened with demolition. With renovations, these theaters have been returned to their golden age splendor. The museum quality of the preservation of these theaters is a symbol of Hollywood's revival and renaissance. The Egyptian Theater is one of the most historic buildings in Hollywood. Sid Grauman built the first major movie theater in Hollywood in 1922. The Egyptian Theater was constructed for a cost of $800,000 and featured an ancient Egyptian decor influenced by the recent discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1920. Hieroglyphic murals fill the walls along the courtyard and massive columns mark the entry. During the theater's golden age, the forecourt held various animals in cages, and staff in Egyptian costumes showed patrons to their seats. The Egyptian first opened in October of 1922, with Hollywood's first movie premiere for Robin Hood starring Douglas Fairbanks. This is where Hollywood as we know it began, with the first star-studded movie premiere ever staged. Sid Grauman invented the movie premiere, bringing in photographers and flashbulbs, searchlights scanning the night skies, and fans lined up to catch a glimpse of their favorite stars for the first time. The lavish red carpet event set the standard with bright lights and movie stars. It was fitting that Cecil B. DeMille premiered his original 10 Commandments at the Egyptian in 1923. The Egyptian was the first Los Angeles theater wired for sound and hosted the premiere of Don Juan in 1926. Don Juan was an innovation, with its own pre-recorded soundtracks with music and sound effects. Long a favorite of Hollywood, the Egyptian hosts an amazing number of Hollywood premieres from the 1930s to the 1960s. In the 1950s, in an effort to provide more thrills and draw people away from their televisions, Hollywood introduced widescreen cinema as the answer to falling movie attendance. Many theaters, including the Egyptian, were equipped with widescreen projectors and screens in an effort to stem shrinking movie audiences.
Yes, the spectacle, the color, the excitement, the human drama of Ben-Hur has swept the world.
A special 70mm engagement of Ben-Hur ran for 2 years, followed by King of Kings in 1963 and My Fair Lady in 1964, which ran for 68 weeks. By the late 1960s, Hollywood itself faced the collapse of the decades-old studio system, and single-screen theaters like the Egyptian faced a reckoning as multiplex theaters with multiple screens were built in vast suburbs. From 1922, when it opened with the premiere of Robin Hood, to the last movie to premiere at the Egyptian, Funny Girl, in 1968, the Egyptian was host to many of the biggest movies in history. After years of decline, the Hollywood landmark was damaged in an earthquake and closed its doors. Empty and abandoned, the theater was a sad symbol of the overall decline of Hollywood Boulevard. Threatened with demolition, the Egyptian was restored to its original grandeur after a $15 million effort. The theater currently hosts the American Cinematheque, a film arts nonprofit organization. The programming at the Egyptian is now a mixture of revivals, foreign films, indies, film festivals, all projected in all formats, including 70mm. More recently, streaming service Netflix has acquired the iconic Egyptian theater in a collaboration with the nonprofit American Cinematheque. Netflix plans to invest in the theater's renovation and hold special events, screenings, and premieres at the theater during the week. The Sid Grauman built venue has for 100 years been a treasure to the Hollywood community. Inseparable from Los Angeles and Hollywood history, the extraordinary Egyptian theater is an important part of our cultural heritage. Preserving theaters like the Egyptian and its storied legacy provides a remarkable movie experience for today's audiences and a new generation of film fans.